Okay, I will definitely do that.
Yes, we are live. Wow. Hello, 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 people on the globe. Hello, friends, family, the beloved of the Lord. Hi, this is Nsiki Noto. I'm the host of Power to Lead show. I'm hosting the show from South Africa. And I have with me in the studio our brother Vuyani Wakaba, all the way from Chicago in the USA. Please greet the viewers out there.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a humbling honor to be on such a positive show, and I'm really looking forward to the conversations we're going to have. And I especially want to share my greetings to everyone who's watching your program, and I look forward to learning and sharing and having just a wonderful conversation with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. You know what we do at this time? Just give ourselves 30 seconds so that you can share the link with your friends and your followers on your link. I'm live. Let me share with you. I'm going to
Certainly.
share it with, yes, share on a friend's timeline. So I'm going to your page right now and look
Okay.
for you and choose a friend. Let me quickly see. It should give me your name, but V is going to be down. All right, go to my page and then you can share from my page. It's going to be easy that way. Let me
Okay.
also go on, yes, so go on my Facebook and then share with you.
And then
So
you
you can share from my page. It's going to be easy that way. So
Okay,
go
I'm
on my
there, and
Facebook and then share with you. And then so you can share from my page. It's going to be easy that way. So
okay,
go
I'm
on my
there, and
Facebook and then share with you. And then so you can share from my page. It's going to be easy that way.
okay, we're having feedback because
We have a feedback. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
oh, okay,
It's all good.
I'll share I'll share I'll share a little bit later, just so we don't have the feedback issue.
Yes, yes, it's gone. It's gone.
Okay,
And we are, yes, great, great. It's gone. And now you can just share from my page to
okay,
yours. Because when I tried to do that, that's what it was doing, giving the feedback.
no
Let's
problem.
go. Wonderful. This is great. What an honor to have you on our show. The mission of this show is a mission that we all have in the world. Our mission is to educate, innovate, empower, motivate, inspire, influence others and ourselves for growth. Because when we have these conversations, we are also learning, every day. So this is for us to share the expertise, the journey others have walked before us that they have experience with and can come and share. So today, our topic is healing with music. How do you like that?
I love it. It's definitely a topic that means a lot to me, and so I'm looking forward to talking about my experiences and how music has affected me and my life in a way that has healed me, and continues to heal, and also how music has affected people around me as well.
Wonderful. Before we do that, if you can, honor us with just a word of prayer, the way you want to pray, so we
Cer-
can just start the session.
Certainly, certainly.
Thank you.
Lord, thank you for this opportunity to fellowship and get together with my sister in South Africa and with her viewers. It is it is through you that we're able to do all things, and we are grateful for all that you give us in gifts and for all that you do to sharpen us and to improve our lives as we go through life. Uh, please be with us as we talk about these important things that hopefully can help other people. And please give a special blessing to all the viewers of this program. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Before we go on, in South Africa this month, it is August. So it is a special month for us as women.
Yes.
And I just want to say to our mama, base South Africa, malibongwe,
Yes.
igama labafazi. You know, this is so special to us. Not that any other day is not special, but because we were honored by the mothers who have gone before us, the legends who, took the pride and the strides and the energy and all all it needed for them to fight for the country. They fought for men, they fought for their children, they fought for everybody. And we salute these women who were more than 20,000 and marched to union buildings in peace, in order, in unity, in love, so that the country can be free. Of course, we know it's not yet Uhuru, but for what they've done and
Yes.
what we are still doing and what the generations to come will still do until we receive our complete freedom by the grace of the mighty God. We
Amen.
salute women. Happy Women's Day to all women in South Africa and South African women who are all over the globe who live out there. Thank you so much. So we come back to our topic after saluting my queens and princesses and daughters. Healing with music. Where are you from, Vuyani? Just take us through the journey. You can summarize the way you want to do it, your way, your style.
I will summarize my journey as I grew up in. I was actually born in Zimbabwe, and my parents were going to school in Zimbabwe at the time. They had come from South Africa, and during that time, during apartheid, uh, access uh, to advanced education was limited for Black people. So they had to leave the country in order to for in order to pursue education beyond the high school level. And so that's when I was born. And about 6 months later, we returned back to South Africa, and I really my memory starts when we used to live in Danzane, just outside East London. And I have very fond memories of living there. And right up until we moved to Soweto in 1975. And we stayed in Soweto until 1978, when my parents again left the country and came to the United States for their education. And we were in the United States from 1978 till 1982. And shortly after that, we returned back to Soweto and continued to live there until I left the country and came back to the United States in 1986. And effectively I've been in the United States since 1986.
Wow, that's a journey.
It
So
is.
a journey like a nomad,
Yeah,
nomads live everywhere, led by the Holy Spirit, and they move towards that direction. What
it's
a
true.
beautiful, it's
It's
true.
true. And the beautiful thing about it is every place I made connections that I treasure to this day. And so I'm grateful for having had the opportunity to get a chance to live in different places. And and my commitment to South Africa remains to this day. I'm in the country at least once a year.
Yeah, at least.
At
You
least.
have to come back and at least touch base with the accent.
Well, there's a story behind that.
Yeah.
When we came in 1978, we arrived here in June, and the American school year usually starts, September through end of May. So from June until September, my brothers and I, had the daunting task of having to learn how to speak English. And so we were reading books. My father was expecting us to read 5 books a week. On top of that, we also had a speech therapist that we went to meet with, who is actually responsible for the way I speak, because all of that grueling training, um, basically that's how the way I speak developed, was through those sessions. The funny thing is, although my parents were putting pressure on us to learn English quickly so that we could join the school system, uh, at a certain point when they were comfortable that our ability to communicate was adequate, we just never switched back. And to this day, that's our primary language within the family. Anytime my brothers call me, anytime my father calls me, and when my mother was alive, that was a language that we used, and we still use.
Mhm. Can you still do some greeting? How you greet your family? You can
It's
do it.
very limited. I mean, the again, everything about me has a story. Um,
Okay.
my accent is terrible, to the point where I'm almost embarrassed, because it's so, words like molo, I can say molo and kunjani, things like that. But my vocabulary never, in fact, it didn't just it was not just arrested when I was 11. It deteriorated because I was no longer exposed to the language on a daily basis, as I would have been had I been living in South Africa. And as a result, just recently I was in South Africa, I want to say in April, and I drove my father to the Eastern Cape. And I've got to admit that I was completely out of my depth once I got to the Eastern Cape, in terms of some of the language that I was hearing.
Yeah, I remember actually even the last time we met in person in 1985. You
Yes,
were just fluent in English, and it was after a long time you were living in the States and you just
yes,
came back again. Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, there was no pressure to teach you the ukale nini, all those things.
No,
The clicks.
no, and I also have to add that when we returned to Soweto from the United States,
Yeah.
we actually, my parents were trying to sign us up into the local school system in Dobsonville.
Mm.
And the school superintendent happened to know my parents at the time, and he actually put out a decree not allow us to sign up into the school system, because he felt that we were coming from a more developed school system in the United States, and was really forcing my parents to put us in private schools. And that's what had to happen. And again, at the time it was inconvenient, but in hindsight I'm grateful, because it positioned us to my brothers and I to all be in a position to where we could develop careers. And we've done well, considering the challenges that Black South Africans face. And that's primarily due to education.
Yes, yeah, because you remember very well that time, it's the times we were fighting, against
Absolutely.
Bantu education
Yes.
and the level of the education that was made sure intentionally making sure that will be put on the bottom or even under, the great
And
standards. Yes.
if you remember, there was a limit as to how many black students would get, university entrance. You know, because if you remember, once you finished matric, which for my American friends, matric is finished high school. You could get one of two diplomas: a school leaving diploma, and you could get another diploma that would allow you entrance into the university. And the school leaving diploma did not give you access to university level training. And so it limited a lot of talented black students from pursuing higher education.
Yeah. You know, the joys and pains of growing up in a situation like that with education. Hence, we come back and take the baton, or they say the baton, whatever it is, we
Yes.
take it and go forward, that we will improve ourselves. We will uplift ourselves no matter what. So as you rise, lift me up. Now you are there in the US, in Chicago, for many years.
Yes.
And you have a style of music that have been following you. When we reconnected, because I love music also. I grew up, in that kind and setting, singing in the church. We were singing for free.
Yes.
Remember, when we were in church groups, we
Of
just
course.
sang for the love of music. Now,
Absolutely.
those times we were not, taking it, for me personally, I was not even taking it really, really as music as a healer. It was kind of a lifestyle, as church kids, if I can put it that way. Now we are a pastor's kid. You are doing it internationally, and you chose to do bass guitar. Tell
Yes.
us about that. How did it start now on this particular instrument?
My 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 interest in music really came late. Um, you know, early on, I would say when I was in junior high school and high school, I started playing the trombone as at the time you had to choose an instrument, and that was my instrument of choice, and I was happy with it. I liked it. I enjoyed it, but it was not a natural instrument for me. And as time went on, I realized that. And then I started remembering how anytime new songs would come out, I was the one kid among my friends who could not remember the lyrics, but I knew the bass lines to everything, and I didn't know there were bass lines, but I just knew that I knew that part. I knew the bass part. I didn't know what instrument played it. But and so by complete coincidence, I had to be about 27 when this happened. A friend of mine um, loaned me his bass guitar, and loaned it to me for about a month, and so I messed around with it, and come to find that there was an instant connection, and I immediately started looking for one for myself. And once I found one, within a matter of 3 months, and I'm not exaggerating, within 3 months, I was actually playing in public, and I was being paid. And the only reason that motivated me to even do that is to raise funds to pay for the rest of the equipment that I needed in order to complete my bass and amplifier system. And but that kind of spiraled into me being called to play with a variety of professional groups around where I was at the time, and it got serious before I actually had plans for what it is that I was trying to do with it. But fortunately, I also was around some very, very gifted, very serious professional musicians who really gave me the blueprint on how to be in terms of work ethic as a musician, in terms of how you carry yourself as a musician, in terms of the respect that you have to have for music in order to do this the right way and impact people the way that it's meant to be.
Wow, what a journey. 3 months.
3 months.
Like you reminded me of something back home. And again, I think you'll relate to this because your dad is a farmer. You
Yes.
remember there's a kind of milis umbona that
Yep.
it takes 3 months. So we call it nyangantatu, three
Yeah.
months to grow and it's ready.
Yep.
So for you, you just you got into that gap of 3 months and you made it. What helped you to do that?
Well, I think that the I had this head start of having a natural ear for it, so that was a big help. Another part of it was um, I can be obsessive when I put my mind on something. I can, which is what happened is that I was practicing, 3.5 hours a day, and ironically, the time I was putting in was not because I felt that I was preparing for anything as much as I just knew I enjoyed this. And so once I figured it out, then I realized in order to play at a level that would satisfy me, I really need to put some work into this. And there was no big picture of thinking that this is a God-given talent that I'm supposed to hone and improve to the best of my ability. I was just simply enjoying myself, and which I generally, with especially with new musicians, especially younger musicians, I usually advise that just enjoy the journey. And if you're enjoying yourself, you'll find yourself putting more time into it. And when you put more time into it, you'll become better at it. When you become better at it, then you'll be able to communicate more accurately with through your instrument.
Wow, that's a good lesson because we are also educating for others who I know very well. There are people who self-taught
Yes,
instruments. So you're giving them the steps because you are one of them and
I
you know.
I am definitely self-taught, but having said that, I have been blessed in a way that I can't even begin to tell you. I mean, if I can tell you some of the experiences that I've had, it would be it would be it would border on shocking. The fact of the matter is, when I learned how to play, I was listening to CDs and cassettes, and that's what I would learn from. I would replay the same song over and over, learning, elements of the song and trying to improve it. And, you know, 5, 10 years later, some of the people who I sat listening to on my CDs, have since become friends of mine. And it's not it's something that really is amazing to me when you consider the fact that in any profession it's difficult to say that the very top of that profession are people in music.
Wow. And now you are playing professionally
Yes,
and you hit that immediately after 3 months, if I remember very well. That's what you said.
I did, but I also have to add that at 3 months there was a lot to learn. I was just functional at 3 months, and functional enough to be called back. In fact, I stayed with this group for about 8 months, and before I moved on to an even better group. But at that 3 month level, there was a lot that I did not know, and but the most important thing as a working musician is positioning yourself the best you can so that you get called back again. That's the definition of success. If the people you work with are willing to call you again, then you are being successful at what you're doing.
Absolutely. That was the next question. So you were led into it. How do you get the gigs?
Well, it's a combination of social connections. In other words, people have to know you exist, for them to even consider you. And secondly, they have to know that you have the skill level that they need. And also, I'll add a part that most musicians don't really speak about very much, and that is you have to be humble. You have to be easy to work with. I can tell you of countless times I've replaced musicians that are many times better than I am in situations only because people found it easier to work with me than with that musician, or that I was more professional. I was on time. Whereas that other musician may be amazing, they may be world class, but yet, if they don't show up on time, that just impacts everything negatively. So I was able to do all of that early on, and again, because I started late, and when I say late, I started in my 27th year. I approached it very differently than I would have if I had started at 15. I was more serious about it, and so whenever I would get hired, people knew that they could rely on me, because if I said I was going to be somewhere, I would be there. If I said I was going to learn the material that was given to me, I would learn it.
All right. And now, what are the kind of songs that you play? Do you choose, and how?
Well, it depends. In cases where I'm leading my own group, then the choice is mostly up to me. However, I tend to be more of a democratic band leader um, than some people I've worked with. I feel that the musicians in the group should have some say in what they're going to be playing. And part of it is because most of what I do is I work as what we call a sideman, which means that I work as a supportive musician for a band leader. So I know what it's like to be in that position. And so I generally share the role of choosing material with the musicians. And the other part of it too is it also lets other musicians really showcase their strengths by the choice of songs that they bring to the table. But if I'm working as a sideman, then no, there is no there really is no choice in the matter. I mean, I can negotiate. For example, let's say that I'm called to play for a festival, and I can recommend that. Hey, I know you've got these songs on the list. What have you considered? Maybe replacing this one with this one, and it's just a matter of negotiating if you feel strongly about things. And it's no different than being in a corporate work environment. If you have responsibilities that are put on your desk, generally you have to do that work. However, you can negotiate the work, the type of work you do depending on the environment that you're in.
You know what? One thing I have noticed with music, there is so much discipline.
Absolutely. Listen, when
Yeah.
I first started playing, I thought I was really serious. I was putting in 3 hours a day, and I thought, man, this is, this is really, I'm doing something. Then I met a friend of mine who is a great bass player here in the United States. His name was Albert Hobson. He was practicing 8 hours a day, and 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 that does not include the amount of time that he was performing. So he was practicing 8 hours a day, performing about 4 hours on a daily basis, and that kind of made me recalibrate what I thought was a strong work ethic. It made me realize that I've got to pull up my socks. And the other thing I'll also add is being a musician is a very time costly endeavor. In order to be a good musician, you really have to put in a great deal of time to prepare yourself. You need to know your instrument, not just the song, the instrument. You need to know the instrument intimately, and then you have to spend time learning the song. And then once you know the song, you have to learn to also be a people person, because that's the other part of the job. When you're performing with others, you have to deal with a variety of personalities within the band. You have to deal with a variety of personalities with, let's say with festival organizers. If you're playing a wedding, then you're dealing with a variety of people in terms of personality in that situation, as well as the audience. So, I learned something early on that anytime I pick up my bass and put it on my shoulder and I'm about to walk out the door, I have to realize that I not only represent myself, I represent my family, I represent my values, I represent the band that I'm working with. So there's a lot of pressure to be well behaved. Not that I have an issue with that, I don't. But at the same time, it's something that is foremost on my mind. You only have one opportunity to make a first impression, so you always have to do what you can to make sure that the impression that people have when they first meet you is not only a positive one, but you then try to maintain that throughout your interaction with them.
Wow. I call that personal mastery for your
Absolutely.
goals and your focus as a musician.
They
So,
have
have you?
they
Mhm.
have to be aligned, and you know and I know that worldwide there is a perception that musicians tend to be somewhat freewheeling, bohemian in nature, and also have a history of substance abuse and alcoholism and all these things. But I can tell you the musicians that are in my social network, they do not drink. They do not do any kind of illicit, substances. They take care of themselves and their bodies and their minds and their spirit because they have figured out early on that in order to be able to do what they do and be successful, they have to live a life that is basically a good life, and so part of our connection is not just the instrument, but it's also the shared values that we have just as individuals.
Wow, that's just something else. And now taking us on this one, you just remind me of a lifestyle of a
Yes,
musician.
yes.
And a musician, take us through this one. Were you called? Is it a calling? How do you feel when you see yourself? This is your lifestyle. This is how you're moving, and you are a believer. Now, for us to get to that healing with music, is it a calling for you?
I firmly believe that it is a calling. Let me say this. Um, aside from my work as a musician, I do other things. However, those things that I do not describe myself as that. If you wake me up in the middle of the night and ask me, what are you? First thing coming out of my mouth is, I'm a musician. You know, it is, let me also say that, whether I have an upcoming performance or not, I'm practicing. Whether I'm being paid to perform somewhere or not, I'm practicing. If I never have another performance, I will practice until my last day on this earth. It is something that feeds me, feeds my heart and soul, and it's not, as much as we're trying to improve. It's really not about achieving a certain level as much as the practice routine, for example, adds balance to my life, and or you can put it in a different way, it brings healing to my life, and and the performance is taking that healing that I have gained through practice and sharing it with others so that they too can get a healing from whatever God allows me to achieve in the practice room.
Yes, and when you are called, it's not like an appointment of a position and
No,
a duty. It's a service.
it's a service. It's a service that's beyond yourself. In other words, um, I'm sitting in my studio right now, and what brings me down here every day is not my ego. Uh, Being a good bass player is something that is a nice perk for the work that I do to practice. However, I come down to practice because um, if I don't, then it's almost like people who run on a daily basis. When they don't run, they don't feel right. Um, it's difficult to put it in words, but it's a like you put it, it's a calling that it's a calling that is what's a good way to put it? It's something that I have to do. It's something that I have to do, and again, the spiritual component of it is because of that unbelievable drive. And I'm not the only one that has it. I can rattle off many musicians that I know that are in the same position, and there's a great deal of sacrifice that happens. And I'll give you an example. On your most recent show, you interviewed the great Victor Masondo, wonderful South African bassist, composer, and producer, and he was talking about practicing all night until he was crying, and that drive to make somebody do that is far beyond just an internal push to do that yourself. It's beyond that, you know.
Mm, I hear you. And you see someone when that person has the passion,
Yes.
and that passion, and you are in your purpose, you are not
Yeah.
doubting it.
There's no doubt, and it's no different than when God calls people to do other things, be it ministry, be it uh, nursing or whatever. That person, there's an unbelievable drive for them to do what they do, and they will make things happen when there's no way, because there is that drive that has just been, there's something just pushing them in that direction. um Now, having said that, I'm not saying that when you're called to be a musician, it's automatic that you'll want to practice. No, no. You're human. There are times where you feel lazy, and you'd rather watch TV or whatever. But the truth is, as you get in the habit of being disciplined, you end up enjoying being disciplined, and that causes you to want to be even more disciplined. And it's no different than somebody who wants to exercise. If you get in the habit of exercising, you start enjoying the feeling of that commitment, to where now you don't want to drop the commitment because you enjoy the accomplishment of being committed. And it's the same. Just recently my father came and visited us for a month. And during that time, because he was here, and I ended up devoting the vast majority of my time with him, which I was very, very honored to do. My practice, I had to set it aside. Um, it didn't feel good, but it's something I not only don't regret, it's something I would do again, because that was the time to set it aside. But having said that, I I'm coming out of that visit with a drive to make up for lost time, as if that's a thing. It's not a thing. The fact is, when you take time off, sometimes it can rejuvenate you. But again, because I'm in the habit of practicing and I have that drive, I feel that I have to be even more serious than I was before I took my short break.
I hear you very well. And when you were with your dad, did you play for him?
You know what? I didn't. I did practice in front of him a little bit,
Mhm.
late in the evening, but I ended up having to play at a friend's funeral while he was here, and he ended up coming to the funeral with me, and so he got a chance to see me play with an eight-piece band at the funeral, and we did everything from African American gospel music to during the meal portion of the funeral, we played some jazz, some jazz standards, and so he got to see a pretty big cross section of what I do.
Wow. And as you talk about that, as we heal through music, you have a song you can play for us. I see so many toys behind you. Those toys are like
Well,
explosive toys.
I,
Wow.
I'm almost
Those
embarrassed. I'm almost embarrassed at how blessed I am. So maybe after we're off the show, I'll give you just a very brief tour.
Okay, no problem. You can just show us one of your toys right there, the one you love the best. Maybe. Do you have a favorite, actually?
um, you know, they they all do different things, but
Okay.
I'm gonna show you. This one is a bass that is made by a company, that a Korean-owned company in Indonesia. The name of it is Sire Guitars, and these are the basses that I play 95% of the time. And I have an endorsement relationship with this company, and the owner of the company is a very dear friend of mine. I've been playing these basses since 2016, and anytime I go out to play anywhere, you can believe that one of these basses is going to be with me, in addition to maybe something else as well. So lately, this is the bass that I'm playing, and right now I'm in the middle of doing some songwriting, and this is the bass that I'm using for that songwriting.
Oh, wow. And you are also a songwriter. So when
Fledgling.
you write, how what triggers your lines when you write? The message in the song.
You know, again, I think that because I don't sing, I don't hear, music is not lyric based for me. generally, when I know that I need something with lyrics, I'll usually collaborate with somebody that I know that that's their strength. And so for me, because much of what I say musically tends to be non lyric based, that's the type of music that I end up writing. And I'm one of these people that it's almost like a painter paints a picture that's abstract with the idea that it's up to the viewer of that picture to decide what they see and how they feel about it. For me, it's enough to express myself, and I hope that it connects with people. And when it does, you generally find that people get different things out of what it is that we write and record. And sometimes somebody will get a totally different inspired response to something that had me responding in a different way. And that's always a great surprise, and it's always something that that goes on to show how amazing music is and how effectively it's almost like looking at a sphere. You know, I see it from this angle and I appreciate it as beautiful. However, somebody else might be seeing it from another angle and appreciating the same thing from a totally different perspective.
Wow. And now, when you talk about being in painful situations, going to play
Yes.
at a funeral of a colleague or another musician, how deep is that pain?
You know, it's deep, but it's alleviated by music. You know, it's alleviated by music. In the case where in this funeral that I went and played at most recently, um, most of the musicians on stage had worked with my friend who had passed away. And number one, being together as musicians made us feel lighter than we would have with if we hadn't come together as a unit. And also playing music that we know he and his family appreciated and enjoyed made us feel like we were contributing something tangible in helping their grief. It helped our grief as well, and it made it easier. It made it easier. Um, you know, this past year, I suffered. My family suffered probably the heaviest loss we've suffered since I've been alive, and that's the loss of my mother. And it was a life-altering experience for all of us, and continues to be to this day because she was such a powerful person in our lives. And I have to admit, I could not have. I don't know that I would have had the strength to perform in that environment. However, since her funeral, I have had the opportunity to really reflect and appreciate the gifts that she gave me and my brothers and my father while she was alive, while listening to music. It's something that's allowed me to process her loss in a way that I couldn't have without it, honestly. And like I say, it's something that still deeply affects me to this day. And for the foreseeable future, however, is something that's a little bit easier to bear, knowing that I have my brothers, my father, and my wife, and I also have access to the thing that soothes me, which is music.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. I lost my mother. We shared, some things together, We
Yes.
lost our mothers, and we are pastors' kids. Your
Yes.
mom used to teach, my mom was in the pastor's crew when
Yeah.
she would come to LCKC in camp meetings,
Yeah.
teach them, of one thing I always remember about your mother, when she was teaching them to make at the Dorcas Society,
Yes.
to make a paloni with nuts, and really, because she's a vegetarian,
Yeah.
so teaching all the vegetarian dishes, and would also be there in the kitchen learning and enjoying the food. So we share really a lot, and we share that deep pain. And when you lose a mother, it's like the whole world has shattered.
The whole world, whole world shifts for you, and again, without realizing it, I'm grateful now. I've got four brothers, and I'm the oldest among my siblings, and the responsibility of looking. I mean, they're grown, they're adults, so it's not really for me to look after them. But however, I feel a burden to do so. Check in with them and do what I can to make sure that they're doing well, and that responsibility has also helped me to get to survive that experience, and I also have to commend my entire family for um you know when we lost her. It was unexpected, and but we got together and we were like a well-oiled machine, and we did everything that needed to be done. Everybody did whatever, we worked as if we had done this before, and we'd never done this, and so I was extremely proud of the entire family. So I know we're diverting from the main topic, but I say all of this to just tell you that without my spiritual background, and without my access to music, and without access to a family, it's something that I don't know that I could have truly survived going through.
We are not even out of the topic, we are actually in it, because we are talking about the experiences of healing
Yes.
through music.
Yes.
So this is part of that healing,
Yeah.
and the reason why we will always be talking about healing. And it's like, okay, it's done, that situation is over, move away from the scene of accident, everything has been cleared. Healing is a process.
It is. It
We
is.
go to seminars sometimes, and again, there's another perspective that healing is not a process you decide to heal.
Yes.
Look at the cross, and then you receive your healing. And you come back again and like, one thought about your mother or something that will trigger it, you cry again. And it's like, my mother passed on 2010.
Yes.
But there are times when I go back home, there are times it's like it's new, and I would hear her voice. It's like, oh, okay, what's going on now?
Right. Right.
You
Well,
know?
and you're right. And in my case, um, I'm so grateful to God that I had the opportunity to be able to talk to her every day for the last 5 years of her life. I mean, we called every day on video, and we talked. I mean, we talked about everything. She had the most curious mind. There'd be days that she'd be asking me how Tesla electric cars work, with the self-driving technology, and I'd have to explain that to her. And she wanted to know, and there'd be other days that she, be telling me, the rules of cricket, because I don't know how cricket is played. She knew, you know. So um, so I say that to say that I was very lucky that I did not feel like there was anything that was left unsaid when we lost her. And if anything, I was just grateful for having had so much time with her and the opportunity. And again, I think without her, I would not be a musician. She between my parents was the one that had a much stronger love for music, um, and um, and was very supportive in all things that her kids did that were positive, even if they're things that weren't traditional. I'll give you an example. My youngest brother, he's a commercial pilot. It's not really a usual, path, a professional path. You know, um, uh, there were all. I can give you story after story after story where we as kids ended up doing things that we were curious about, or things that nurtured our spirit, and she was right behind us. Even if she was afraid for us, she still would be there, making sure we had access to all these things that we wanted to explore.
Wow. And as our time is going over, we are just left with 4 minutes. There's one thing about music and musicians, and
Yes.
all of us when we sing, even in our deep pain of losing other musicians, or we've been in those funerals, this thing of combination of we can cry and sing at the same time.
If anything, we sing with more fervor, with more conviction when we are in pain. And that singing eases our pain in a way, and it also removes us from the moment, to where we're transported to a higher plane during singing. I'll never forget living in Soweto during, especially the riots of the late 80s, 85, there, 84, 85. Anytime you would see singing, chanting of protesters on the street, you could tell that now each individual in this mob of people is no longer just an individual. They now have become one, because of the singing. um it's no different than being on stage with other musicians. When everything aligns musically, we some of us refer to it as being in that zone, where, my wife, who's not a musician, the way I explain it to her, I say, it's a feeling as if there's world peace. you know um, Everything is perfect in that moment, and you just want to live in that moment for as long as you can, and that is something I've only experienced with music. And to me, it's the closest I've had to being able to imagine what it must be like to live in heaven. Is it to be in that moment where there's not a worry, everything just feels perfect in that moment.
Wow. As you bring us to the close of our show, and you have just taken it, as in heaven, we those who believe, and it's a choice. It's a personal choice to believe that we have this great hope that we're waiting for,
Yes.
because it unites us, it speaks to us, it helps us, as the Holy Spirit is our helper, to live a good life and to live in the great presence. So music healing us, take us to the closure. Today, Vuyani, we were burying, even for us, some of us who are far virtually, one of the greatest musician, a great gift to humanity
Mm,
in South Africa, a man who helped me to even launch my foundation, actually someone who believed in me,
mm,
and he was the first to call me to a radio station and to present. And then we continued, to an extent that he believed in me. even in a 2-hour call, he will just call and say, Madam, I'm going to the studio now and we have a show. So please quickly prepare something. I'm filling in for someone. Oh, no, Pastor K, how can you? Hey, we don't have a time. We have a show. All right, I'll be ready for it. Okay. So
Wonderful.
when someone believes in you
Yeah.
and now helps you to put you in those industries
Yes.
and supports you, the
Yes.
pain, I cried
Oh,
from the 1st of August when I heard that he passed away, because
amen.
we still had great plans now to
Sure.
go on other global, initiatives together.
Sure.
The pain, but today, I cried
Oh my.
sitting there watching the funeral. But the musicians, I won't
Mm,
even mention any by name because of the influence. He had a hashtag, I am influence. The
yeah.
music influenced big industry musicians in the industry and pastors, not just in the Adventist family, beyond, because he was serving in a station
Mm.
that opened him up to believe and understand and support other people as well. So he lived out of the box.
Oh wow.
Therefore, he was serving humanity.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I also, may his soul continue to rest in eternal peace and rise in glory. We'll
Yes.
do a prayer for the family as we close. That's where I saw when I follow you, you play in different spheres, different, places, even different countries.
Yes. Yes.
That is a blessing.
It is, and I'm grateful on a daily basis because I know that this is something that is given to me, and I am and I'm humbled and grateful for it. It has enhanced my life in ways that I can't even begin to tell you. I have. I have met and gotten to know so many people because of it that I would not otherwise know, and it's touched me in a way that just goes through the full entirety of my life.
Yeah. And it's a journey to heal.
It is.
It's a journey, but all we know is that we have to keep our positive mindset,
We do.
and that's how we win. That's how we win. And for our viewers out there, thank you for watching us. This is Power to Lead with Integrity show. And if you want to partner with us, you want to sponsor us or collaborate, you can also just sponsor an episode. DM me and we can talk about it. Thank you so much, Vuyani. We really appreciate your great heart that you have given your precious time to us to empower, to impact, to impart, to motivate, and lift us up in how we can heal through music. Thank you so much. At
Thank.
this time, I'm going to, yes, I'll give you the time.
Yes, I was saying thank you. I'm humbled that you would choose me to be in conversation with you and your viewers. I'm truly grateful, and I think that the things that you've been doing with uh, your contributions in leadership have been amazing, and it is. Truly an honor to be involved in any aspect of what you do, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you so much. May I kindly ask you to just pray for the family, Pastor Sipo Galeni's family.
Certainly. Dear Lord, please be with the family that is grieving at this time through this incredible loss, and with all the friends and all the colleagues. We know that you are the one that is all powerful, and you are the one that has the answers to all the questions that we ask and yet have yet to ask. Please help this family get through this process, and help them heal and find happier day after such a heavy loss. Thank you again for giving us the opportunity to see another day so that we can have meaningful conversations like we had today. And please continue to bless us as you've richly blessed us in the past, and be with us as we continue to try to make a difference in your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Wow. Thank you so much. Time really can move very fast.
It sure
And
can.
it can move very fast. And all we wanted was just to have a good time and heal and be together and, walk the road with us. The reason I brought the men before the women as we celebrate Women's Month, the women fought for the men and they were fighting for their men not to be abused by the system, to be holding dom passes, all the time. So the men are the authorities, so they must be in the forefront when we start the month. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for honoring us. Malibongwe,
All
igama
right.
lamakhosikazi. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you. To the viewers out there, thank you so much for being with us. Continue to support us and be our followers. Thank you for me, the host of Power to Lead. I say bye-bye. Have a great week.